Very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Lots happening overseas. Of course, with the work and pensions brief, there's worth picking up with you, first of all, on domestic news. Just outline for us the Conservative position on the welfare bill that the government is putting through Parliament at the moment.
Yes, of course. I mean, the starting position is that our welfare system isn't working. Over 2,000 people a day are going on to sickness benefits. We're spending more on welfare than we're spending on defence. So there's both a human cost and a financial cost. So we want to see the welfare bill come down, and we want to see more people going into work. The problem is that Keir Starmer's legislation doesn't do that. And also, he's really struggling to get the support of his MPs to back welfare savings. So we have made an offer to Keir Starmer, which we will support him on welfare savings if he does three things. Firstly, he has to commit to bringing the welfare bill down properly. Secondly, he has to commit to getting more people into work. And thirdly, he has to commit to not putting up taxes in the autumn. And if he does that, he'll have our support.
It's this sort of extra pledge. Some might suggest is political game playing. Obviously, you want the welfare bill to go further. There's a bill in front of you that they've proposed, and it comes down to the bottom line question of, in principle, is it good to see some welfare reform that is ultimately a goal that you pursue? Or because it doesn't go far enough, do you reject the bill? Which of those two is most likely?
Look, I mean, this is a constructive offer that we are making in the national interest, because I think it is very important that the welfare bill comes down, but also we need to see more people going into work. And there are real flaws with the legislation that Labour is bringing forwards. So on the one hand, it doesn't save nearly enough. The bill's going up to around £100 billion by the end of this decade, and their plans only bring it down by about £5 billion, so that is not enough. Also, it's very flawed. For instance, what they're planning will mean greater cuts to people who are older and, for instance, with physical disabilities like struggling with arthritis, and have less impact on the particular growth of younger people who are going on to sickness benefits with things like common mental health problems, anxiety and neurodiversity. And critically, the legislation they're proposing doesn't get anybody into work. Their own assessment is that there will be zero extra people into work. So there's a real problem with what they're bringing forward. We want them to fix it. We're giving them a signal how they can do it. They need to do that, and then they will get our support.
We got more to discuss on this particular topic, and hopefully we'll have time at the end to come back to it. But the Prime Minister's just been speaking on arrival at the NATO summit, and let's listen to that, and perhaps we'll get your reaction afterwards. The Prime Minister moments ago.
Well, NATO is as relevant and as important today as it's ever been. We live in a very volatile world, and today is about the unity of NATO, showing that strength. We're bigger than we were before, we're stronger than we were before. There's a historic commitment in relation to spending. And for me, as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, it's important that we play an integral part, because the safety and security of our citizens in the UK is my first duty as Prime Minister. I take that extremely seriously. And in relation to our contribution, the increased defence spend, obviously that goes to our security and our safety, but it also is the engine of growth and jobs in the United Kingdom. So this is a very important meeting of the summit. NATO comes together at an important point, stronger and larger and more determined than ever.
But will you be asking him for clarity?
Well, look, I think it's very important that we stand here as allies, and we do stand here as allies, coming together, absolutely committed to the importance of NATO, particularly at this point in a very volatile world.
You've committed to buying 12 new F-35s, which will be nuclear capable, despite the Strategic Defence Review quite recently saying that wasn't their favourite option. Why have you done that?
Well, the Strategic Defence Review said that we should look at options, including the F-35As. We have now taken decisive action in relation to the F-35As. That's the right decision for our country. It's the right decision for NATO. And it really comes to an important point in a volatile world where we do need a stronger, more diverse, resilient security.
And what will they give us that we didn't have before?
Well, they give us a diversity of capability and a capability that we didn't have before, and that is really important.
Prime Minister there moments ago arriving at the NATO summit. I'm here with the Conservatives' shadow Work and Pensions Secretary, Helen Whately. Helen, your reaction to, I guess, the central part of that, where the Prime Minister thinks Donald Trump, the US President, is as committed to NATO and Article 4 as the US has ever been?
Well, the US is traditionally and continues to be our most important ally, and their commitment to NATO is really important, therefore. But what does worry me is we've got the Prime Minister talking up defence, and he's right, we need to invest more in defence, but he needs to get the public finances under control. He needs to get welfare under control, and so he's busy doing the thing that prime ministers like to do and go to international things. He really needs to sort out the situation domestically, and also actually sort out what Rachel Reeves is doing to the economy. Because unless we've got the money to spend on defence, none of this matters for anything.
It's right that he's at the NATO summit.
Well, it is important that he attends that. But he also needs to get the domestic situation under control. And he can't be in a situation where, despite his large majority, he can't get his MPs to back his legislative programme.
12 F-35s, is that a good thing to spend around £1 billion on?
Well, I think it's important for us to invest in defence and the equipment that we need as a country. So, as Conservatives, we support the government making those kind of decisions, but they do need to work out how they're going to fund these kind of things.
Overall, are you pleased that the government's announced this pledge, along with other NATO allies, to get to 3.5% of core defence spending by 2035?
Yeah, we're committed to increasing defence spending as well, and Conservatives made a commitment on that in our manifesto. However, it's got to be genuine defence spending, and what we've seen Keir Starmer do so far is just add together other bits of spending to try and come up with a higher percentage. And he's sort of throwing other things in. The question is, what next to meet that? What do you throw in next to meet that so-called commitment? What he actually has to do is invest in core defence.
Just coming back to the welfare bill and what's likely to unfold from here. If there's really the prospect of the government being defeated in a vote, is that not a higher political prize for you as Conservatives than pushing through a bill?
So we want to be and are a constructive opposition, and we will act in the national interest. But we won't just back a bill as it is without it being fixed in the ways that I said it needs to be. It's not a good bill at the moment. We need Keir Starmer to make those commitments, to make proper welfare savings, to get more people into work, and the third thing of not putting up taxes as well.
Helen Whately, thanks for joining us. Good to see you this morning.